Welcome to the Goalie Hacks Podcast, the show dedicated to providing elite tips, hacks, and strategies to take your game to the next level, where we help you become an elite goaltender, one hack at a time. And now, here's your host, Mike Santaguida.
Bang, bang. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Mike Santaguida, and thanks again for tuning in. Shout out to my newest patron this week, Ben Willett, who over the weekend joined the Hacker tier, where I work 1v1 with goalies on their development, side by side with a pro goaltender on their mental game, on ice play, and most importantly, their recruiting efforts and how to get an opportunity that's the right fit for you at the next level. So if you're interested in catapulting your development, moving your career forward faster, more efficiently, and getting the cheat codes to getting to the next level, definitely hit me up directly or head to patreon.com/goalie hacks in the show notes for more details. This week on the show, I was super pumped to be joined by Matt Galajda, starting goalie for the number one ranked team in Division I hockey this season and top 5 ranked team in the last 3 years. Matt has a long history of being a standout goaltender, nabbing several awards during his time at Cornell, including a Hobey Baker Award finalist and an All-American his freshman year. And today we dive deep into what exactly it takes to become championship material and what exactly it takes to become one of Division I college hockey's best. Shout out to our sponsor, NeuroTracker, and shout out to our internal NeuroTracker League monthly winners. If you guys haven't heard yet, every month we internally compete against each other to see who has the best scores and who is the most improved. You know, a little friendly competition to push everyone and have fun in the process while getting better. So shout out to Christian Triani with a 3.22 and the highest score of the month, with an honorable mention going out to Cam Smith with a 3.03. Both currently members of my inner circle and longtime GH community members. And shout out to Dominic Wenner on being the most improving 231%. Wow, since the inception of his trial subscription that he won from the podcast giveaway we do every week, by the way, and he did that in less than 4 weeks. He loved his experience so much that he's now getting started on the platform full time. An honorable mention for most improved going out to Boston University commit and incoming freshman Vincent Duplessis, who recently got started on the NTX as well and had some great feedback from his experience to date. If you're looking to get started with the NTX, hit me up directly with our goalie, parent, or coach, on my Instagram or by email at goaliehacks@gmail.com for more details. Without further ado, let's get into this week's episode. I know you guys are going to love the chat Matt and I had today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Goalie Hacks Podcast. I couldn't be more excited today to be joined by 3-time ECAC Division I college hockey champion and our first active college goaltender on the show, Matt Galajda. Matt has been a standout goaltender dating back to his minor hockey days, where he won back-to-back championships with St. Andrews College playing prep school out in Canada, while also picking up the Goaltender of the Year award in 2014-15. He then moved on to play almost 100 games in the BCHL for 2 seasons, nabbing second-team All-Star and having an opportunity to represent T Canada West in the World Junior Challenge. Eventually heading to Cornell, where he's played the last 3 seasons, where he's now on track to be crowned as one of the best goaltenders to ever play for the Cornell Big Red. His list of accolades goes on, and we'll dive deep into each year as we get going with the conversation. Matt, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming on the show, bro.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you, buddy. Shout out to Eithteen Fahrenbaker, member of my inner circle for hooking me and Matt up. Matt, Eithteen definitely looks up to a lot, and for good reason. And I couldn't be happier to dive into detail into your success over the years today. It sounds like you opted to stay in the States during COVID. Were you thinking about heading back to Canada at all at any point? What's going on with your visa right now? It sounds like it's a mess over there.
Yeah, I was planning on going back to Canada for sure. I came down here right after our season ended, and I was just coming down for the weekend to visit my girlfriend because she was abroad in London. So I came down, and then school got shut down, and then the borders closed, and everything happened so quickly. And it was just that one of the biggest things for me was that if I were to go home, I'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks, and that's 2 weeks without a gym or anything like that.
Yeah,
And
no kidding.
if I were to come back over, another 2 weeks in quarantine, so it just seemed a lot easier for me to stay down here for the summer, and I've been enjoying it for sure.
Good. Well, are you doing anything in particular right now to sort of stay in shape and stay in the groove?
Yeah, a lot of workouts. My trainer from home's been sending me stuff to do. But other than that, a lot of golf and a lot of tennis. Those are the things that really keep me in it in the summer. So,
Yeah,
it's always fun to try different things that you're not able to do during the season. So,
yeah.
I love doing those things right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned I'm not a huge golfer. I'm not very good, but I actually do play a lot of tennis with my buddies. It's really fun. I used to play a lot of squash actually while I was in prep
Oh
school. You ever
yes,
play
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah, we used to play that at St. Andrews. It's always fun until you get hit with the ball. So
Yeah, or you get a racket in the nose or something
yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, well, let's jump right into it. And maybe you can start off by just talking about how you got into hockey, and goaltending, and a bit about your journey and how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, so I was, I mean, I grew up playing hockey like any Canadian kid. I mean, most Canadians put their kids in hockey, so
Yeah.
that was a no-brainer for me. But I was actually a forward. I think I was a left winger. Had a pretty decent shot. Wasn't the best skater there was out there, but
How
um,
long did you play forward for? To what age?
I played until I was in second grade. So going into third grade, that was my year I fully switched to being a goalie.
Nice.
And I don't even really know the reasoning behind it. I think I really like the helmets and goalie helmets and all that stuff, and I was kind of mesmerized by that aspect of it. And
Yeah.
I mean, another reason, I don't know, I just my dad really didn't want me to be a goalie, so um, I
Yeah, he's got to
that
pay the
kind of
bills,
that kind
right?
of yeah, that kind of gave me a little more fuel to be a goalie, just because he didn't really want me really want me to be one. So I don't know, I it worked out well, and I'm sure he's really happy now too. But it was a bit of both of those things. So
Yeah. And how come you decided to you played AAA for the Markham Waxers from what I saw, and then you decided to go prep school? What was sort of why did you decide to go that route initially?
yeah, so my first year of AAA hockey actually was in eighth grade. So I'm from Aurora, Ontario. Um, and I played for the Aurora Tigers. I played Double A growing up. Um, so my first year of AAA was with eighth grade, and I actually played for the Central Ontario Wolves, which is about an hour drive from Aurora. So um, every single practice for my dad was an hour drive, and it was in the
Wow.
middle of nowhere in Lindsay, Ontario. So
Yeah.
that was my first taste of AAA hockey, and then after that year, my dad got the coaching position for Markham. So
Nice. Excellent.
um, that's why I went to Markham, and I played there for 2 years, and absolutely loved it. It was a great spot, a lot closer to home. Um, and then from there, I ended up going to St. Andrews. But so I'm sure you probably don't know this about me, but I grew up on campus at St. Andrews. My dad was the director of residential life there.
Nice.
So I
Very
spent my,
cool.
my whole childhood on campus at St. Andrews, growing up there, and
Yeah.
I went to school there starting in grade six. So I always looked up to the guys on the varsity hockey team, and I always remember going to their big tournament, the McPherson tournament, and seeing the energy there. And I always wanted to be a player for their team. So
Yeah.
really, it was a no-brainer for me that I wanted to go to St. Andrews. So the opportunity was there, and I was comfortable with the situation. So um, that's really the reasoning as to why I went to St. Andrews.
Hmm. That's pretty cool, man. I did not know that at all. So how was that growing up in sort of that environment? Do you think that helped with your development?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Having access to all the facilities and being around older guys,
Yeah.
playing sports with them, whatever, road hockey, soccer. I mean, just having other people to look up to, I think definitely helped me be more competitive
Hmm.
at a younger age, and definitely translated to other aspects of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually I was having this conversation with older gentleman a couple weeks ago where he was like, think about all the money you spent driving an hour for AAA hockey. Think about all the money, the gas, the hotels, and all that sort of stuff that comes with the territory. And because I was like, oh well, prep school is kind of expensive. He's like, when you really boil it down, it's actually not that much different. And you actually get quite a significant amount of benefit out of sort of having all that stuff localized, including mentors and teachers and coaches, and not just the facilities. Obviously, I'm a little biased. I went to prep school too, but I look back at it as one of the greatest experiences of my life. And obviously, you've gone on to greatness. But while you were there, you won 2 regional championships 2 years in a row, and you're named the top goaltender in the region as well. Had you ever won a league championship up to that point?
Phew, I might have won one with the Aurora Tigers double A in like third grade.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, never. We won some tournaments, but up to that point, I mean, that was my first league championship with St. Andrews for sure.
Yeah. And what do you think helped you early on in your career, either like mentally or physically, that allowed you to thrive and become a champion at that level at such a young age?
Yeah, I think one is that I was fortunate enough to play on some great teams with some great players and a great coaching staff. So I think that's definitely one of the reasons that really helped me. But I think the other main thing was just having a short memory.
Mm,
Um, I mean, I think too many kids nowadays in minor hockey or even juniors in college, they just think too critically about themselves, and they think too critically about the game they just played or the game they're about to play. I think just for myself, when I'm playing hockey, when I was growing up, I was able to forget pretty quickly about the game I just
yeah.
played in, the goal I just gave up in practice. Um, so I think that's one thing that definitely really helped me at such a young age was just having a short memory and really
Yeah.
just loving the game and having fun and not really caring too much if I let a goal in or anything like that.
So how did you, is that just something that's, I guess, a part of your personality, or, like what would you sort of say to yourself to help you move on whenever you'd get hung up on a thought or on a game or something like that? Did you have sort of a process that you developed early on?
Yeah, I think one thing I say to myself is stop the puck, track the puck, and have some fun. I think those three things really um, emphasize goaltending. I mean, tracking the puck, finding it
Yeah.
where it is, stopping it. I mean, and then I think most importantly is just having fun and not being so tight and so tense. Just enjoy where you are and have a little fun with it.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It can, the anxiety for some kids can build up, but I think having some of those anchor techniques and some things that can bring you back to being in that moment can allow you to have fun, like you were saying, right?
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but then you move on to play junior, and you decide to go play out in the BCHL for 2 seasons. When you first got to the league in junior hockey, what was the hardest part for you about transitioning from prep to junior at that level?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me was just getting used to the whole routine. I mean, it was my first time moving away from home, living on the West Coast,
Yeah.
in Victoria, and I mean, you're playing with older guys. You're playing more games in a season. You're playing games throughout the week. So I think that was one of the things was just that it's a whole totally different routine thrown at you. Um, when you have to see how you're able to get attested to that level of play really quickly. I mean, personally, I think the level of play was just I just remember older guys and harder shots. I didn't feel like I was anything out of place when I was playing there.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the one thing was just getting used to the whole routine.
Hmm. And if you could go back to the beginning and tell yourself one thing before you went to junior, to help you have more success, what would that be?
I think the one thing I say to myself would just be like, be patient. Um,
Mm.
here's a good story. My first year in the BCHL, showed up, had a good training camp. My team was was all right. We weren't too great that year, but all I remember was my first start. We played in Nanaimo. In Nanaimo, we lost 4-1 or whatever. We
Mm.
have our home opener at home. We lose again, and then we lost like 10 games in a row. So I actually never won my first game
Oh my
until
goodness, man.
until like October 23rd or something crazy like that. Um,
Wow.
and my first win was against the Powell River Kings. I remember that they were the number one team in our division. They lost like one game so far in like their first 12 games or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my, like these guys are coming into our rink tonight, and what's gonna happen? So
Yeah.
we somehow won the game. I think it was like 7-5 or something crazy like that, and that was my first my first win in the juniors. So
It's a
um,
solid win, man.
yeah, I think just like being patient and trusting the process and not really rushing into things, and even when things aren't going well, um, you don't really, if you think you're doing the things that need to be done, you really don't have to change them. I mean, sometimes it's bad bounces, unlucky. You just have to stick with the
Mhm.
process and do your thing, and eventually the results will come. So
Yeah. So for that, through that first 10 games and then sort of finally breaking through there, what do you think was maybe one of the biggest contributing factors of you guys getting over the hump and for you personally getting your first win?
yeah, I really believe it's just um, I mean, once you get that first win, it's kind of a snowball effect. You gain more confidence, and you're like, okay, like I belong in this league.
Yeah.
Let's make something happen. Like you're excited for the next game. You're ready to go. Um, I think just building that confidence from that point really matured my game and really allowed me to just go out on the ice and be myself, be free, and really just enjoy where I am at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in your second year in the league, your numbers increased very well. Albeit you're considering you guys went on a 10-game skid right off the bat. Your rookie year it was pretty excellent as well. And you played in 16 playoff games and had awesome numbers there too. Your second year, and you also had an opportunity to play for Team Canada West in the World Junior Challenge, which is awesome. I'm sure that was an amazing experience. Where do you think you grew the most? From year to year in that league that allow you to excel in your second season in junior and to be considered as one of the best goalies in Canada?
Yeah, I really think I remember I worked really hard that summer, and I had a ton of confidence after my first year. I started talking to a lot of schools that year, and really I just felt like a more mature kid in that. I think I was acting a little more professional in the sense
Mm.
of what I was doing at the rink and away from the rink. Um, Started to take care of my body a little more. I really think just my overall mindset of the game and where I could potentially get to, really, I was really aware of that, and I really tried to just put everything I had into hockey at that time to try to just get a little better and have a great second year in BC.
Yeah. And you said, you started being a little more professional at the rink, away from the rink. What were some things that you did that allowed you to sort of find some consistency, step up a little more often? What was it, your nutrition? Was it your sleep, or was it working out? Any of those things during the year?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger things for me would be nutrition. Um,
Mm.
when I'm at home training, I usually train with Gary Roberts,
Nice.
and so he's a big nutritionist guy, and being able to see what they do and all the stuff what the pros do, being around those guys really opened my eyes and allowed me to see what it really takes to be at that level and what those guys are doing to enhance their performance in any little way. So I
Yeah.
think just being able to pick little things from those guys' habits and what they're eating and all the new trends and whatever, I think that really gave me a little bit of an edge going into that year. And
Hmm.
it's still something that I really think is important in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And for kids looking to make that transition to junior hockey this upcoming season, what's some advice that you have for them so they can be more prepared for the challenges when they come, similar to what you faced?
Yeah, so like I was saying, just being patient, but I think the other thing is just like don't beat yourself up. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, everyone's had a bad day. Everyone's had their coach yell at them before. I mean, it definitely will happen when you're playing junior hockey eventually. So I mean, from when that first time happens, or when you have that first bad game and the coach yells at you, it's just like don't beat yourself up. I think so many kids after they get yelled at will just be crying for a
Yeah,
day or
full.
whatever. They just won't talk to anybody. They're all sour, and I think that's not healthy for anybody playing hockey. And I don't think that's healthy for any individual. So I think personally, from experience, is just letting things slide pretty quickly. I mean, maybe sulk about it for an hour or two, but then get right back at it the next day when you're at practice. Just work a
Yeah,
little harder, do the little things, and I think when it's all said and done, the results will eventually come. So just
yeah,
be patient and don't beat yourself up.
yeah. You got to embrace that process a bit, and then you sort of nitpick some things, and coaches yell and scream, and even sometimes players in your own team, and you got to sort of be able to I guess the way I like to refer to it is, avoiding some of those distractions of, like beating yourself up's a huge distraction rather than focusing on like what you need exactly to get better. Is it you need to get more patient? You need to, work on those backdoor plays. You need to, be quicker on your feet, whatever it is, better play reads. And I think that if you're so focused on beating yourself up, you're not focused on that process and like what it's going to take to really get over that hump.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean the process. I mean the process is it's the grind. You gotta love the process. It's a it's a 24/7 job. I mean, even Sundays you gotta recover. It's you gotta follow the process and you gotta love the process because that's the way you get better and that's the way you're able to play at the next level.
yeah. It's funny. Well, I mentioned earlier that I had Ben Sire, your coach, on the show, a few weeks ago, and he couldn't stress more about the process. Is that something that he stresses to you guys in the room, to everybody?
Yeah, the process is very much a thing at Cornell, and it should be on any team. But yeah, Benny loves to talk about the process, and so do all our coaches. It's in our locker room, and I mean everyone on our team loves the process. We love blocking shots on a pregame skate. We love doing all the little things. It's what we do, and that's our team's culture. So the
Yeah.
process is a big thing at Cornell, and we all love it. So
Yeah, well, let's dive right into your time there. An absolutely incredible 3 years you've had so far. But maybe we can start right at the beginning, and maybe you can just touch on, briefly, not coming in as a true freshman, maybe taking, I saw you took a couple years to play junior, and, you have a bit of a late birthday in October. Do you think taking a couple years extra to develop worked in your favor? And if you could go back, would you do it again?
100%. I mean, at the time I graduated St. Andrews. I really don't think I was ready to play college hockey at the time. I just had a great year at St. Andrews, but I really think that I needed a taste of juniors to really to be ready. Um, I mean, the level of play from prep to college is astronomical. So
Yeah.
just being able to go into juniors and play some games there really lets you see what the other competition is like, and really allows you to kind of grow into yourself and grab some confidence before heading into college. So I think personally for me, it was 100% worth it. I mean, some goalies are ready right out of high school, and that's 100% okay. But I think for a majority of goalies, a
Hmm.
lot of them need time to develop in juniors, whether that's 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And I think for a lot of guys, that's something that they should look into if they're not interested into playing like Division One. If they some I know some guys go right out of high school and play like D3, but I think for some of those guys, maybe give it a second look, and try out
Hmm.
juniors to see if you're maybe able to get that Division One scholarship. But I definitely would do it again, in a heartbeat, because it was the right decision for me.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that there's a huge misconception amongst young goaltenders, and even when I was 18 years old, like I came out of prep, and you do have a pretty good run, like you did, right? And maybe in the back of your head, you're thinking, well, maybe I should be committed, right? Why not? And then you sort of you go to juniors and you get a bit of a wake up call, and then when you get to college, when I got there when I was 20, I wondered for years, why nobody wanted me at like 17, 18 years old. And my first game ever was against North Dakota in North Dakota, and
Yeah, that's a
I,
tough one.
I oh yeah, thrown right into the fire, and it couldn't have been more clear that day that I totally understood why people waited, and for everybody listening. Well, it's funny, looking back, because when I was in prep school, I graduated in 2011. That wasn't really like a huge thing then. Like I remember my coach coming to me and because I had gotten like an offer for D3 school, and I was like, well, I want to play D1. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to go play junior? And like, what's going to come? And I was like, well, yeah, like, what do you mean? I'm going to try, and I would have regretted it for the rest of my life if I didn't. And then from a development standpoint, I couldn't agree with you more, that I needed that before going to college, or I would have been in a tough spot going in young. But you excelled in your rookie season, right? But maybe you can talk about your expectations of D1 hockey. Like I just sort of said what mine was versus how it was when I got there. And maybe break down what the hardest part about transitioning from junior to D1 hockey was for you.
Yeah, I mean, my expectations going into Cornell, I really had no idea what to expect. I mean, um, going to school for the first time in 2 years, it was for me. I
Right.
haven't taken a course in 2 years, so I mean, thrown into that. I mean, at Cornell, our season doesn't start till end of October because Ivy League schools aren't allowed to. They have like a 2 or 3 week extra cushion for academics, so that our seasons start later than most schools. But I remember being thrown into that fire was just having to be grinding in the library every night. So I think getting used to school is pretty tough to begin
Yeah.
with. But even the hockey side, I really didn't know what to expect. I never even saw a game at Cornell before I even committed to them. So, um, but I remember my first college game. I played Alabama Huntsville.
Nice.
It was our first game, and our other goaltender that year was a senior, and one of my classmates, Austin McGrath. But going into my freshman year, I really had no idea if I was gonna play. I really had
Yeah.
no idea. I mean, obviously, I believe that, and I thought that could happen. But we had a senior. His name was Hayden Stewart.
Yeah, I actually played with Hayden.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah. Yeah, we played together in Knoxville in the SPHL.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I remember going to like our first captain's skate or captain's practice or whatever, and I see Stu. He's skating. I'm like, oh, this guy's big. He's moves quickly. I'm like, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have a tough time here. And I remember like we're doing scrimmages and like I'm letting in a couple goals and like no one can score on Stu for like 3 practices in the scrimmage. I'm like, oh boy,
Wow.
here we go. So he actually he got hurt at the beginning of the season before our season even started. So I remember getting the call. I was going to dinner on a Thursday night. We play the next day. My coach, one of our assistant coach, texted me like, "You're playing tomorrow." So I'm like, "All right, here we go." Like, I'm all jacked up. I'm like, "All right, whatever. Here we go. Let's go.
Yeah.
First college game, first game possible. Like, let's get after it." So I remember Alabama on, so crowd was crazy. We played at home at Lina, and it was a great game. We ended up winning 5-1, I think, 6-1.
Nice.
But I had a shutout going. They scored like 5 minutes left, and I was like, "Oh, that would have been like unreal! Like that would have been awesome! Like first college game, like first win, first shutout. Like that would have been like so cool."
Yeah.
So I mean, after that first game, I just remember it was like, "Wow! Like this is absolutely insane! Like you're on cloud nine, like first college win." And then I think the one thing about college hockey is like, okay, you got to get ready to go to the next day now. Like you got 2 games a week. You got Friday and Saturday games. So you have to like completely forget about that one and then go to the next one. So I think just the expectation of just like being able to forget about the game quickly because you got only 2 games and every single game in college matters. So
Yeah.
I think just the whole schedule difference and just 2 games a week was just it honestly felt a lot, and it feels like I'm at prep school again, just like that whole routine that I was already in.
And you talk about, how Stewie got hurt and you got an opportunity. And that's actually how I got my first opportunity too. Our goalie he pulled his groin. He was a sophomore coming in. And, they didn't even expect to play me much. And, he pulled his groin. And the next thing you know, we're playing North Dakota and starting 2 nights. And then we're playing Penn State and then we're playing Notre Dame. And honestly, I look back at that and I'm like, that probably changed the face of my career, in college, like stepping up to the plate when that happened. And maybe you can just touch on, the importance of seizing that opportunity and maybe some things that you were saying to yourself, to get you ready to lock up that game and solidify your spot at Cornell, show people that you're worth being there.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have to be ready to go at any time. That's the part about being a goalie, even if you're not the starter. If you're a backup goalie on any team, like you never know when your opportunity is going to come. And for me, I was unfortunate for Hayden, but lucky enough for me, I was able to get my first opportunity. And I mean, the thing with when you get those opportunities is that you don't want to let them slip. You don't want to let them go because if you waste an opportunity, you really have no idea when you're going to get another one back. So
Yeah.
I think for me is just I knew I belonged in college hockey. I really believe that I could be one of the best goalies in college hockey even in my freshman year. Before I even played a game. I mean, I think that's just the mindset. I think that's just the mind. That's just like yourself. Yeah. Like that's just the mindset. Like I have going into a season or going into a game. I don't know. I don't think many goalies in minor hockey or juniors or college really have that if they're not the starting goalie. But I think just for me at every level I play, that's always been my mindset.
Yeah.
Was that I want to be the top goalie this year. You really have no idea how you're gonna get there, how you're gonna get that opportunity. But I mean, when it comes, you don't want to give anything away. I think one thing I used to say to myself, and I have it in my phone, is don't leave anything on the table. Like you have to perform, and I think that's one thing when you get that opportunity, like just give it everything you have because you don't know if you're gonna get another opportunity if you don't perform. So
yeah. And you talk about sort of you're alluding to having self-belief and even when you're having bad days or even when you weren't playing, you were building that self-belief. What are some things that you did over years, either intentionally or unintentionally? Because I think when we're young, we don't even realize it, but we just, you sort of build yourself up in your head. And I think, it was something, I read a quote from like a Hall of Fame golfer, and he said, "I never miss a single shot in my head." Um, and for you, what was something that you did to sort of build that self-belief?
Yeah, yeah. One thing that I started doing in minor hockey before games, and I still do it today, is just like listening to some music before a game, and just having a routine. Just like I just listen to the song and like telling myself in my head that like I'm gonna be the best player on the ice tonight.
Yeah.
Like kind of stuff like that. Just like track the puck. Like this is my show tonight.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
don't let
Yeah.
anyone like take anything from you. I mean, just like I think just stuff like that. Just like having that soft belief in your head that like you're gonna go out there tonight and like be the man. I think that's something that I've used to my advantage over the years, and
Mhm.
it's something I do. It's been something I've been doing since minor hockey with Markham to today, and it's worked out just fine for me. So
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And for goaltenders looking to make that transition to college, what do you think is one skill or character trait that they can focus on that you think will translate the best from minor hockey to college hockey?
yeah, I think one thing is probably just be detail oriented. Have a
Mm,
schedule every day. Know what you're doing. When you're on the ice, make sure you're doing all the little details. Just don't go out there and kind of just flop around, and I like follow your rebounds, track the puck, um, do the small things. So when you're able to get that chance in a game, you're ready to go. So
yeah. Well, going over your accolades that first season, just crazy, man. You were named an All-American, Hobey Baker finalist, All Ivy League Player of the Year, All Ivy League Rookie of the Year, All Ivy League First Team ECAC Goaltender of the Year, Rookie of the Year, First Team All-Star, All Rookie Team, and you guys won the ECAC regular season. That's awesome. Just a crazy rookie year for you, man. So congrats on those accolades. But what do you think contributed so much to your success as a rookie? Your first year to propel you to obtain all those awards after you got that first win under you.
yeah, I mean it helps when your team was ranked number one in the country for a week, and when your team's consistently ranked up at the top and up that year. I think we're usually top five that year, but um, I think up to that year, I think going into Christmas, my numbers honestly weren't even they weren't that great, to be honest with you. I got like a 2-1 and a 9-10 save percentage, which is I mean pretty good.
Pretty solid.
Yes, I mean solid for a freshman, but like I don't know I think I was like 8-2 at that point and like had those numbers.
Yeah.
Um, but then like I don't think I was even I don't think I'm considered for any of those awards at that point of the season with those numbers. I think I'm just like an average guy. Like no one probably really has even ever even heard of me yet on like any of these teams or whatever. But I
Hmm.
think just for me that freshman year, I really kind of just exploded that second half.
Nice.
I remember going home at Christmas time. The last game I played in that before that half was against Miami, Ohio. Um, in Miami, Ohio, I got pulled. Stewie went in. Stewie started the next night, got a shutout. So
Mm,
bang, go home for Christmas. First two games back, Stewie plays.
yeah.
We win again. And then right before we are supposed to play Quinnipiac, we're playing Quinnipiac that night. Like right before, Benny Sire texts me at like 5 o'clock, like, "Hey, like Stewie's like not feeling too well." I'm like, oh my, like Quinnipiac, like these guys are legit.
Yeah.
Oh my, like okay, I got to get ready. Like let's get to the rink. Like let's get everything going. And um, I think I got a shutout that game. I did. And then
Wow.
from there on, it was like shutout, 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 like 2 goals, shutout, shutout. It was just I don't know. I just blacked out, and I just was like, okay, move on to the next game. Like, let's go here, boys. Like,
Yeah,
it's just crazy to think about it. And I just looking after the season and seeing what I did was just, I don't know. I still think it's pretty cool, and no one could take it away from me. But
for sure.
a lot definitely had to do with the way our team was playing at the time too. We were hot. We weren't losing any games, and I think for anybody is just, if you have team success, those accolades for yourself will come as well if you're performing. So
Yeah. Well, I think you did a good job of just being process oriented while all that was going on, right? You weren't second guessing yourself. You were just sort of, in that moment, which is exactly, how you sort of, it's funny talking to a lot of guys who sort of get those awards. And it's very humble of you to, contribute a lot of your success to the team. But, like you said, you got those awards. You ain't being no All-American. And I just know from experience, unless you're doing something special. So, you know what I mean? I think just you were just so process oriented from what it sounds like. And like you alluded to earlier in the conversation, just having that short memory, being in that moment and just having fun with it, I guess, right?
yeah, for sure.
And then throughout the course of the year, you know, during that second half, what do you think helped you be so consistent? Was it during the week or during the games, either mentally or physically? Like, did you settle into a routine finally? Was there a certain drill or mental routine you did, or recovery or off ice, anything like that?
Yeah, I think mentally for sure. I think my mental game's been very consistent since I've been in minor hockey, and I think it's been working for me. So I really haven't tweaked anything. But I think that year I used an app called Headspace, which I'm
Nice.
sure you've heard of, and I don't know, I really liked it, and I used to do it every night before going to bed that year, and it really just helped me calm down, and just get ready for the next day. But um, as far as physically goes, I think just having that one drill in practice that makes you feel good about yourself, especially if you have a
Mm,
bad practice or whatever, just get to that one drill and feel good feel good about yourself before going off the ice. For me, I think I really like tracking pucks, and I like shots from far out, just kind of just catching pucks, feeling them, just getting your eyes on them. It really helps me, personally, just
yeah.
to be dialed in, and to have my game at peak performance.
Yeah. And then in your championship games, for the ECAC title, what are some things that you either say to yourself or do to manage your anxiety and stay focused before, the contest? What would you say is your biggest hack that helped propel you to victory?
Yeah, well, we actually lost. We lost the ECAC.
Oh,
we
did you guys really?
we won like the ECAC title every year for like finishing first, like finishing first in like our conference. But like
Uh,
when tournament time came around, so first crack at it, played Princeton in the semis. We were in 1 seed, they were 8 seed. We lost 3-1, so we went home. I think I really didn't change anything, personally. Um, to when I was there, I think one thing I like to say to myself during games is, right when you think you got it, you just lost it. I think
yeah.
that's just, for me, it's just a way to not think ahead, because if you're like start thinking, oh, like the period's done in 5 minutes, like I have a shutout going, like let's go, like that's when you get scored on. I feel like, so
Hmm.
just having that mental awareness really helps me. But our second crack at it was my sophomore year.
Yeah.
We made it to the finals, played Clarkson, 2-2 overtime here. We tied it up with like 5 minutes left, like to send it to overtime, and
Nice.
then overtime comes along, and then the net fell on top of me, and I sprained my MCL. So
No.
I had to leave. I couldn't play. I left the game. Then we
Wow.
lost a couple minutes later, and that was
Wow.
our
That's brutal,
out.
man.
And then obviously this year we never were able to play, but those were two cracks at it. But um, I think that's one thing that I say to myself during games, just right when you think you got it, you just lost it. It really just helps you to stay focused out there and not think
Yeah.
ahead and just think of the next puck that's coming in or reading the play that's developing. So
Yeah. And I want to rewind a little bit, sort of get your analysis of some big picture stuff. What were some things that you either found out about yourself or learned along the way that were, some of the biggest things that helped you grow into someone worth winning all those awards and being considered for the Hobey Baker that first year?
yeah, I think just being resilient. I mean, I didn't even make all the teams I tried out for growing up. I remember I tried out for like the York Simcoe Express, my whatever. When I was like seventh and eighth grade, I didn't make the team, and it is like I didn't really get to me. I didn't really care. It was what it is. But then I think I was able to play for them my minor midget year, but I decided to stay with for Markham because I was going to get a lot more playing time. But I think after that year, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people listening or have went through the OHL draft or are going to go through the
Hmm.
OHL draft, and I think going to the draft that year, I thought I was going to get drafted, and I ended up not getting drafted, and I think I was kind of bummed about that, and I think that's one turning point in your hockey career is where you can either say, okay, like I'm done, I'm going to give up and hang up the skates, like I'm going to go, I don't know, do whatever, but instead, I was like, okay, like not a problem, like I want to play college hockey. That's always been my dream. So I'm gonna go after it and give it everything I have. Um,
Hmm.
so I think for me, the OHL draft not getting drafted was something that really fueled my fire and passion, and really helped get me to where I am today, which is college hockey and being able to play in those big games. So.
Yeah. And considering those enormous awards like All American, Ivy League Player of the Year, what do you think is the biggest factor that holds guys back from achieving such greatness and, being considered for awards like that? What do you think is the biggest probably misconception amongst young goaltenders, that are looking to win awards of that magnitude?
Yeah, I think the big thing is that they're just too focused um, on the result or the picture. Like before a season starts, that's all they're envisioning is like getting personal accolades. Like I mean I don't think that's healthy for some guys to do. Um, I don't think you can just be looking at any season and just saying, okay, this is what I want to do. I mean, hockey's a team sport, and I think what a lot of young guys need to know and learn is that without team success, that you're probably not going to get any of those accolades or anything like that. So
Mm,
I think you really just have to be focused, be in the moment, and play throughout the year. You can still have that as your end goal, but it shouldn't come up again during the season until like the final horn's gone at the end of the year.
yeah.
Um, you really just have to play hard throughout the season and be a team oriented guy first, and all the stuff later will come if your performance is there. So
Yeah. I love that. You sort of focus on getting the wins with the team and the numbers sort of come with that, right?
yeah, for sure. I think that's a big thing for any goalie. So
Yeah. Well, you guys go to win the ECAC title again in your sophomore year, and then a third time, making that 3 years in a row. Picking up Ivy League Player of the Year, Ivy League first team, ECAC third All Star team, and USCHO third team. Maybe you can just touch on your experience, that you've gained over the years. How that played a role in your success, and now having played so many games. What do you think in terms of experience was the biggest thing you learned over your years that's allowed you to be so consistent now?
yeah, I think one of the things is just not getting don't get too excited. Um, I
Mm,
remember my first game. I was so excited. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I was like a 12. But now when I go into games, like I'm dialed down to like a 3 or a 4. Like
yeah.
I'm I'm fired up, but I'm not like showing my excitement. Like I'm just kind of like I'm
Yeah.
there. I'm mentally ready to go. I think that's one thing that has really helped me is just finding that number of how excited I have to get to. Whether that's a 3 or a 4. Like some days it's a 7. Like you have to jack yourself up when you're not feeling your best. But um, I think for me is just having that knowledge and experience in playing in so many games is where my body has to feel to play at its best. And I think a lot of the game has to do with how you're preparing for the game, and a lot of the results are dependent on how you prepare for the game. So I think just knowing where to get yourself on that scale is really helpful, and has really helped me along the way.
Yeah. And is that sort of for you, has that been through a trial and error process, or did you sort of find that early on in your career?
Yeah, that's definitely been through a trial and error process. I don't really remember too much what I was doing in minor hockey, but I was probably
Right.
really jacked up for every game. I think as you get older, you really have to kind of dial it down and really find how you perform. And yeah, for sure, it's trial and error. I mean, going through juniors, even you gotta know where you have to be, and I think that's really helped me get to where I am. But the first college games were definitely a big tester to see what I had to do. So I think just
Yeah.
playing in a lot of college games really gives you a feel of where you're supposed to be, and yeah, it's really helped me.
And for other young goaltenders, trying to find that consistency, what's your biggest suggestion for them?
Yeah, I think one thing for younger goalies to find consistency would just be like have like a bread and butter drill that you love doing that makes you feel good about yourself.
Mm,
I think with consistency, you have to build confidence as well. And without confidence, I think you're gonna lack consistency. So just having that one drill that makes you feel good about yourself and you're having fun doing, I think really builds your confidence, which leads to your more consistent results in your games.
yeah. And personally for you, I'm just curious, what do you see as maybe your two or three biggest strengths in your game and sort of your identity?
Yeah, I think my strongest strength, honestly, I think is my mental game. I think it's been like that for a long time with just kind of my self belief, um, going into games and going throughout a season. I think just that having that mental awareness and mental ability to just have no doubt in what you're about to do. I think another one is my hockey IQ. Um,
Mm,
I think I'm very good at kind of just
reading the play.
reading certain plays, reading certain scenarios, just being experienced, having played a lot of games, just kind of being a step ahead of everyone. And I think another one was just one thing that really helps my game is just covering the bottom of the net. I have a pretty big butterfly, and
Nice.
I think that's something that helps me is just knowing that when I go down, I got the whole bottom of the net covered. So just having that awareness of where the net is and what I'm able to cover really builds your confidence. Knowing that you've had knowing the guy shooting has no chance of scoring if you know like this is where you are, this is where the puck is coming
Yeah.
down the sidewall. Like like if I go down, like I'm making the save. So I think just building that confidence and knowing where your net is and knowing where you are just really helped me. So
Yeah, and I think that and I kind of say this a lot to some younger guys, like when you get to that next level, you need to find areas of your game where you know that you sort of have that 99% chance of like stopping guys, and that sort of gives you
yeah,
confidence. And plays into sort of reading the play, and there are a few things where I'll bait guys into certain areas, like on guys coming down the wing, and you sort of give him that short side, thinking he can just go shelf, and then you go into like a VH instead of an RVH, and kind of shut that down. that's just something for me. But for you, where's another area of your game where you have sort of created an edge that, when a puck goes to this area that you're like 99% on that shot?
Yeah, I think any puck that's below the face-off dot in any zone, any puck that's below that, I know that if I'm if my right foot or my left foot's on the post and I'm square to the puck with barely challenging, I know if I drop, I'm 99.9% going to make the save. So that's one thing that I think that's one thing actually a lot of goalies do is that if a puck's within that area, you see a lot of goalies that will be challenging outside their crease, like
Yeah.
in white ice if you have like the old crease or whatever. But I think personally, I think that's an unnecessary movement for a lot of young goalies to be that far out
Mhm.
because I mean the guy shooting from there really isn't too big of a threat, and your threat's more the back door and the backside there. So if I see a lot of goalies who are out far and the guy coming down passes it across and they're a fish out of water and have like no chance of making the save, going to the back door. So I think for a lot of younger goalies, even is just that's something to be aware of and maybe try it out in your game. Just not being too aggressive on shots from the outside and just kind of knowing that okay, like the net's really not that big from that angle. So
No, I think even in general, the net's really not that big when you sort of. I
yeah,
always say that too with you think about goaltending. I think hockey goaltending is we have the highest save percentage out of any goalie in any sport.
oh yeah, soccer goalie.
Yeah, you're covering a whole ocean of net. I'm like, man, I would never want to be a soccer. Your
Make
save
one,
percentage is like
you make like
30%.
a couple saves in soccer, you're like the best ever. So I mean, I think it's a totally different sport, but yeah,
Totally.
I definitely agree with you. We probably have the best save percentage out of any sport. So
Well, you're sort of alluding to what I like to refer to as sort of a crease management system, right? And you sort of find your identity, based on different save selection, different depths at different areas of the ice. Have you sort of developed a system that you play in, that you practice around, that you sort of mold your identity around?
yeah, for sure. I think that's one thing I was just describing is just like kind of pucks around the perimeter. Just I'm a little more relaxed. I'm not too. In prep school I would have been like 100% focused on the shot and 100% dialed in if the puck was on the perimeter. But I think I've just adapted into my game, just a little more taller stance, a little looser, um, ready for the shot to come, but at the same time, not like 100% focused. I'm kind of seeing what other possible plays are.
Yeah.
Um, so I think for me, just being a little more loose when pucks are on the perimeter, and then I like to use the RVH when it's in tight, and
Yeah.
I have my foot on the post actually, and I think that's one thing I find it a lot easier to push off if I have to go
Yeah.
back door or anything like that. So I think those two things really help my game.
Yeah. And for other goalies sort of looking to, I guess, find that recipe, that management, that system, in their game, what's some recommendations that you might have for them to build that out and then play to that identity?
Yeah, I think just get a lot of reps in. I think just get a lot of practice, a lot of reps in practice. Without practice, you're really not going to get anywhere. You have to be in all those game like scenarios. Once you're in so many of them, you kind of build that repertoire of what the next play possibly could be. So
Mhm.
I think without practice and without getting all your touches and all your reps in, really is a disadvantage if you're not doing that. So I think just being in different plays in practice really helps you just kind of build that repertoire you have in the back of your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of through, one, you got to practice it, right? Because then when you get to the game, you don't want to get into too much thinking. I'm sure with your
Exactly.
system,
Yeah. Exactly.
you just lock right into it, right? You're like, okay, he's there. This is what I'm doing. He's there. This is what I'm doing, right? And it makes the decision making process a little more fluid when you're playing, right?
Yeah.
Um, Finally, we all know that we have bad days and it's inevitable, but I think the best goalies know how to play good even on their bad days. And for you, when you're having a bad day, do you sort of know when you're having one pretty quickly? And when you do notice, what do you rely on or what do you say to yourself to help you work through those tough moments?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty quick to know if I'm having a bad day. I mean, sometimes I go to the rink and I'm just tired and I don't even know how I'm tired. I slept like 10 hours, drank a ton of water, but some days you're just not feeling your best and you get to the rink,
Yeah.
you're like, oh boy, like I have to play now. So once you get in that game, it's going either two ways. Like right away if you let in a goal, you're like, oh boy, like this is gonna be a rough night. But I've have to say I've had a lot of times where going into games like not feeling the best, but I have like an unreal game. So
Yeah.
so it's either going one or the other way in those scenarios. You're not going to be mediocre. You're either going to be really good or really bad, and
Yeah.
that's just the way I am at least. But I think even when if you let that first goal in, like not to like give up and quit right away. I mean, it's really easy to just throw in the towel and letting another quick two and go on the bench and get ready for the next game. But you really just have on those nights when you're having a bad game, you really just got to dig in and just
Compete.
instead of having like your energy level at like a 4, you got to like get it up there like to like a
Yeah.
10 and just like get her going. Like you have to give it everything. So I think that's for me. I just have to like try to be a lot more dialed in to the game and just I just tell myself not to give up. Just keep going. Next puck
Yeah.
here. So
Well, that was something that Benny said about you. He said that one, your compete level is off the charts, and he said two, even on a bad night, he's playing to win. And he said we know that he's going to have his off nights, but on your off nights, you still find ways to win. What are some things that you think that help you kind of turn it around and just grind through those tough days, find those wins.
yeah, I mean, I'm a very competitive guy. I'm not gonna lie, and
Yeah.
I think that's one thing when I go into a hockey game is that like I want to win it. I want to not just beat the other team, but I kind of think of every game like a little goalie battle. Like
Yeah.
you're playing against the goalie down on the other end. So um, I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's one thing you always want to outperform the other guy playing down at that other end. So um, instead of for goalies, I mean, some goalies will focus on the whole game, but I think for me, I just kind of think of it as a little battle, and you're playing against that other goalie, and you want to be better than him. So I use that. I definitely use that to my advantage, and it's definitely something that's helped me over the years. But
Yeah.
it really just brings out that competitive juice and really makes you want to win. You just want to beat that other goalie down the other end. So
Yeah.
that's something that I really like to do.
Yeah, you got to take pride in the competitiveness of the game. I think that's where we can all find some fun competing, right?
Yeah, for sure. Fun and
Yeah.
respectful competing for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of guys you played against that you're buddies, but when you hit that ice, you play to win, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Well, Matt, do you have any last words of advice for everyone listening you feel passionate about?
Yeah, I think just for younger guys listening, just I mean, have fun with the game. Don't be too down if you have a bad night, if you have a bad practice, if your coach yells at you. I mean, at a young age, especially, the game's meant to be fun. You don't want to go to the rink and be dreading it before you even get there. Like you want to be happy when you get to the rink, and I think especially for young kids, if you're dreading going to the rink, you're doing something wrong. Um, it might not be for you, but really just have fun with it. Just don't beat yourself up. Just have fun with the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well,
I got something good though for you here.
yeah, let's hear it.
No,
Love it.
let's get it going. I remember I saw you play one time back in the day,
No way.
Vermont, baby.
Wait,
You got
do you remember the
oh
game?
oh yeah, I could tell you about it right now.
Yeah, let's hear it. Love it.
I was down there with St. Andrews. We were playing playing in like our MPHL. It was called. It was like our league, Midwest Prep League.
Yeah.
But it was in Burlington, Vermont, and I forget this prep school that's even around there. I have no idea.
Vermont Academy, aren't they around
No,
there?
it wasn't that. I have
Oh,
no
okay,
idea.
okay.
I have no idea what it's called. But you guys were playing Providence. John Gillies was in the other net.
Oh yeah.
I just remember. I think you guys lost.
Oh yeah. We were cursed against that kid, man. Holy.
Yeah, I remember you're a smaller guy, and
Oh yeah.
I remember your pads were massive. I just remember that. That's why
But yeah, you
remember
saw me
that.
my freshman year, I
You had
think.
like Reebok P4s. Like I remember, it was hilarious. They're like up to your chest. I'm like, this guy's like quick. This guy's legit.
Oh man, dude, I probably remember the game that we played. We for some reason every time we played
I think it
Gillies.
was like after Gillies went to like the World Juniors. I don't even know, or like
Yeah, it was. It was. He came back and he was like lights out, and we couldn't score on the every time we played him. I think I beat them once in my whole college career, and I like stood on my head, and we won like 2-1. You know what I mean? But always fun playing against some. I'm sure you played against some great goaltenders, man. It's super fun playing Division I hockey. Obviously, it's really competitive, but when you really enjoy that competitiveness of it.
Like when you're playing against that other guy it's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun.
That's funny, man. So I'll give you a little story here about my gear. So
I remember you played the puck a lot too. Actually, you're pretty nasty at that. I remember that.
I used to love that. But you
can't
in pro. You got the trapezoid now, so I can't go anywhere. I would come flying out to the corners before I'd come flying out to the blue lines, but my identity's changed a little bit, I guess. But about the gear, well, I remember I basically modeled all my gear after like Corey Crawford that year when they won the cup. And I mean, I like the colors, but I got like a single break in my gear, in the pads, and they were enormous. Like I remember, like you wouldn't believe how much I tried breaking these things down because I knew they were like the first day I had them up to my chest. People were like, "Are those?" People wouldn't even say to me, "They're like, are you sure though you got the right size, man?" Oh man, no, that's funny, dude. But thank you for coming on the show, man. It's been a pleasure to have you on. I always love bringing on championship material, active goaltenders, and with the goal to hopefully shed some light on what it takes to be the best, and what my audience can use to hopefully propel them to championships and to some of those awards one day. Can you just let my audience know where they can get in touch with you online?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram if you guys want. It's mgalajda35. If you guys want to DM me or anything like that, if you have any questions, definitely feel free.
Yeah, right on. We'll go sauce the kid a follow. Yeah, we got a pretty good following here. We'll try and get you a couple, eh? Oh man, but he's been an incredibly standout goaltender since his minor hockey days. I know he has a bright future ahead of him, and I know what he shared with everyone today is going to help their game, take their game to the next level. Maybe somewhere down the show we'll have you back on, man, if that's something that interests you, because I know you'd continue playing.
No, for sure. It was a great show tonight. Good conversation.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Good luck this upcoming year. You take care, and we'll chat soon, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
All right, take care, bud. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode, guys. If you liked what you heard today, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we have tons of amazing guests lined up ready to come onto the show in the next few months. Make sure to tune in next week and every Tuesday from now on at 8 a.m. as I have another just crazy high caliber guest coming on the show, the head strength and conditioning coach for the Ottawa Senators the last 10 years, Chris Schwartz. We dive deep into everything pertaining to off-ice work regarding goaltenders in the NHL and what exactly the pros are doing these days at the NHL level. This one was just awesome to have, so, it was just a pleasure having Chris on, and I know you won't be disappointed, so make sure you tune back. next week. Without further ado, here are the giveaway details for the NeuroTracker X subscription we're giving away. To enter the giveaway, if you're an Apple user, simply go to the Apple Podcast app on your phone and leave us a written review and rating. And if you're an Android user, you can also download iTunes onto your computer, search the show, and leave a written review and rating on there as well. Once you leave a review of the podcast, take a screenshot of it and either email it to goaliehacks@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram with your screenshot and your full name. If you guys are also interested in getting started with the product, feel free to hit me up either by email or Instagram direct messages to get more details. Get excited, guys. Great things ahead. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and I'll see you next week.